Welcome to Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abraham. You know my partner, Albert Campman. Albert, from time to time, we'll do a special show, whether it be greatest rivalries, greatest Ohio athletes. We've done a little bit of everything, but this one is especially interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about a handful of coaches that basically ruined their, you want to say, lives, you want to say, reputation, you want it, whatever you want to say it, and it's so fresh in the news because of what happened to Bob Huggins over the weekend.
Great introduction, George. And they sabotage themselves. And I truly believe, as we wrote this up, that ego comes in the way. They cannot see themselves ever put down. Can say, well, what do you mean? I'm too great for this. And they continue down the avenue that they should change. Drugs, emails, alcohol, big time, gambling. There's been a lot of vices that are out there.
Yeah.
That they know. I know they know. I will say this, because Coach Huggins is the latest one. We're going to talk on him hard. It truly is a disease. So your people out there are judging him. The only way to beat a disease is by doctoring and by getting serious help.
And we both know him some. We're not going to pretend it, but you know, I knew his dad. You know, you played for the legendary Coach McCluskey, who was his best friend.
Yeah.
And I had different times. He spent a lot of time back in the day up in that George Jr. up in Jersey, because he had a kid he might want to just keep out off the radar or whatever. But the bottom line is this: it starts with, as you say, A, it's a sickness, and B, until you admit you need help.
Yeah.
See, that's the key. That's like this routine. Well, do guys change? Nobody changes if they don't want to.
Well, I know a good friend of his, and because I know Coach Huggins, so I know his friends.
Absolutely.
A good friend who was an alcoholic, and got sober for 20-some years. Reached out to Coach Huggins, and he said, "Get away from me. You're telling me I'm a quitter?"
Yeah.
See, he took it the wrong way.
The
friend was trying to help him.
Absolutely.
And instead, in his ego mindset,
yeah, you need help.
I don't need anybody.
He'd stop when he wants to. Yes. No, that's the fallacy.
And that's the problem.
Now, here's the thing. When I see someone go off the tracks, they stole money, let's say. This is all hypothetical.
Yes.
But the first thing I think of is drugs, alcohol, and or the big one is gambling.
Yeah, and the other thing I think of is that this isn't the first time they've done it.
No.
See, I would be willing. What's the word? You always tell me that.
Allegedly?
Allegedly, yeah. George always says, use that word.
Yeah.
Allegedly, in my mind,
yeah.
Coach Huggins and this crew we're going to talk about have done this before.
Whatever the behavior is.
It wasn't the first time.
It's not the first time. I got caught. Yeah. Imagine that. I've never had a drink in my life.
Yes.
I went out the other
Allegedly,
day. It was Albert's birthday.
I have a strong feeling.
And
all 8 of these coaches that we're going to talk about.
You and I.
It's not day one. They're making a mistake.
I hate to say this, but I think that when I read about sexual assault or something like this, I always think to myself, I say, you know what? This is the first time he or she got caught.
Yeah. And the second thing I say on that, George, is this is not a judge show. You're looking at the ultimate sinner here and here.
Yeah.
We're both. So we do know we screw up too.
Oh, I'm not judging him.
No.
That's a good point.
It's an opinion. This show's an information show.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about these guys, we get it.
We're not saying we're better.
No,
but that's one decision you have to make. If you want to have 3 or 4 beers, you want to throw back a couple, Uber, cab.
Yes.
He has enough money to have a driver.
What I heard, remember, this allegedly again, that when he signed at West Virginia, because remember he had the Cincinnati incident, that he could have a driver anytime.
Sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
That was part of his coming in with West Virginia.
Yeah.
George, for most of the career of the NFL, we heard from our producer Saturday that they put a new rule in. But
I don't believe that.
That
They could call anywhere,
any time in the country and say, I need a driver.
Yeah. And no questions. You're not going to tell the coach in the morning.
No.
That's it. And, the other thing too, let's be honest, one of the Patriots there, we talk about it later on in our other show, he got caught with a gun at the airport. Now, will he be punished? Depends how good he is. Let's be honest.
No doubt.
We hate to say
Well,
that.
that's why Coach Huggins hung on the first time when he made a mistake what he said out of his mouth.
Yeah.
If it was some young kid,
Fired.
he didn't have gone immediately.
You know what this has done? I'm not a big fan of these guys that just tell you how great Kenny Pickett is and
I don't want to hear
everybody's
that
the number
either.
one pick. But they were all over him last night saying they thought maybe during that radio interview that he wasn't coherent then because he would have never been that dumb to say it.
First thing I said.
You think it's possible?
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's coherent
Yeah, I got
a
you.
lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think he's so... my dad was a drinker, so I know... People who watched my dad in action did not know he was drinking.
Because he was
He was so
functional.
tolerant.
No, he was functional.
Yeah.
He went to work every day.
He was so tolerant.
He went to work every day.
I knew.
Yep.
They
And I
didn't
had
know.
some players and my father owned a bar, so I watched it.
Yes.
You know, I watched these people.
So-
and see, if you get up and you go to work and you do your
it looks like
farming
you're
or chores,
okay.
everybody who doesn't know you
Yes.
thinks, oh, he's fine.
And that was my first thought. Georgia was great lead in.
Yep,
I thought
yep.
there is no way he says that on the air
Yep.
if he's totally sober. That's what I think.
No, because that was, I heard that. I remember I heard it. I texted, I said to a few people, I said, this guy has to be lost to his mind to say something like this. Not that it was ever okay, but in today's climate, there's
Yes,
no tolerance.
Exactly. So
That's
let's talk about the latest incident that got him. That's the big one.
You got 8
Then-
or 10 guys. Talk about Huggy to start
Yeah, we'll start.
with.
Yeah, we already covered him a lot. We'll cover him now again.
Because he's the best known.
This one led into it, by the way. His incident led into this discussion George and I are having, and George, he couldn't name the city he was at.
They said
And you described his car looking like
they said it was junk on the inside. All kinds of
threw up on
empties
his
and
trash. He had thrown up
trash
on to
bags.
before.
And you know, I don't know if he knew he had the flat tire. They went out. They were going to just help him fix it.
Right.
And then they saw. First of all, I guess it was shredded, so he had driven some distance. You know, and the other thing too, anyone that was anywhere near Pittsburgh Friday or Saturday with that Taylor Swift concert needed their head examined.
Yes. What a bad time to be on the
that's a
highway.
bad time to be cutting
because there
through.
was a million police out that
A
night.
million. Now let's talk about it a little bit. Coaching, third all time.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
tremendous.
when you're in a group with stinking
Coach
K
K,
and
yeah.
Boeheim,
Yeah, yes.
I don't care what you think of Boeheim.
Yeah, there is no doubt. I've watched his teams play. The man gets them to play hard. The man gets them to play together. The man demands excellence. He does everything that George and I like in a coach. Defensively and offensively, he has movement offensively, defensively. They pressure. So that side of the ball, the basketball side, he's a Hall of Famer, no question.
Absolutely.
But we had to. If we didn't do this show, we would not be the people we think we should be. We had to talk and call him out for a mental, emotional, spiritual, physical error to the nth degree, because here's why I'm calling him out, and I saved this for the end. He was thinking about himself. I know he has a disease, and it's terrible. But I think 7 assistant coaches, directors, whatever, lost their jobs when he made the call and said, guys, I have to resign. You have to look for another job. Where
You think it might be so late they keep them on?
Well, it'd be nice if they did.
I think.
But I don't think
you
they
know
will.
they're mentioning.
I don't think they will.
They're talking about it.
Calhoun's one of them, YSU.
Beeline for a year.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't hear that one.
Just to steady it.
Beeline.
Just to steady it. Wasn't he there before?
Yes.
For Michigan, he would steady it.
Wow, would that be a tremendous get?
Not permanently, but he would steady the ship.
I thought they'd get Andy Kennedy. That was the name I came up with.
Well, even
He's
the guy
won-
from
he's won-
Duquesne's on the staff.
Yeah, Everhart's there.
Everhart's
35-year coach.
Yeah. Now here's the problem though. Well, they supposedly have
losing all their players.
a doozy of a
They're
recruiting.
losing them all.
Lose them all.
10 of them already out.
Oh, they're
Said they're
done.
going. Yeah. No, they all said they're leaving.
Well, then they-
So yeah. So they were.
matter who
Well,
they
there's the point that they don't pick a school anymore. They
we
pick a
knew.
coach and they pick a money.
We
You know, that's
knew
it.
that.
Yes.
You know, these people say, well, you know, the biology department and all that. You know,
they don't know what biology is.
They've hidden that for so many. You know, once again, that somebody threw that phrase "student athlete" out there.
Please, George.
It's all I can do to
Please.
keep from.
Yeah, you just want to punch
It's just
somebody
the
on that
one
one,
word.
yes.
It's the one phrase. The hyphen. Don't tell me that
Division III.
when they're staying. You don't
Division
need one.
III.
Yep.
That's
6
a true
years.
story.
Now, these guys are all 6 years. They had to have 7 degrees. But
There's not a thought.
let's talk about Friday, then we'll move on to urban renewal.
Yep.
You're in Pittsburgh, as you say. They asked him where he was. He thought he was in Columbus, I believe is what he said. You said there was garbage inside the car.
And the cans were everywhere. You understand?
Yeah.
He was just drinking
I think at least
and
in a bag or something.
just throwing them anywhere he could.
No.
You know.
Well, let's be honest. You have a very good friend who knows things about
Yes.
someone just taking care of the car and this and that.
Yes.
But this female president at Cincinnati, she wasn't going to have it.
Yeah. So we got Cincinnati. Now we got West Virginia. We got right down the line, George. He's struggled so much.
And you know, as a coach, you said high marks on. Because what do we like in a coach? What's he get him to do? Play hard.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you and I will talk about it on the radio or wherever? And if someone calls and say, "Man, I saw your team play. They couldn't shoot." Okay, I can live with that. Oh, they did. But when you say they didn't play hard,
His team's always
now I'm mad.
His team always
And
played
that's
hard.
about his team. You couldn't watch them and say, you know what, they're not working hard.
So we'll get off of Coach Huggins here now and say to him, get help.
Get some help. buddy.
Get help, brother. There's people out there care about a lot about you.
Absolutely. He's
And,
got fans there. You know what? We had a buddy who had a premature death because of alcoholism, and I used to get upset at his buddies. I thought one of them should have
Stepped up.
had an intervention or something and said, listen, you're going to get mad at me, but if you don't get help, we're going to be going to your funeral.
The
Which
sad
they ended up
commentary
doing.
they have, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what
it's like I say when you know, these famous rock stars in particular, they're the ones that meet the early demise because you know the Prince or whomever, this Cobain guy, and the next day they're all sad. Meantime, you know, why didn't you do something about it? I went to a funeral for one of my buddy's sons. Half those kids there were high.
Yeah.
And I
And that's what. And then show me your friends. I'll show you.
and
the
I said to
future.
my
That's
buddy,
it.
I said, "Do you see this crowd here? Do you see these young people? What do you mean?" I said, "Half of them are stoned out of their
Well,
mind."
I've been to clinics where Coach Huggins is there, and guess where you find him?
At the bar.
At the bar. So you understand, with about out of 10 coaches laughing with them.
Yeah.
And so I do
yeah.
understand what
Yeah.
he has done this
We
forever.
just got together.
You just can't drink
We
and
just
drive.
got
I got
together.
2 daughters.
No, you don't want
You
to.
have great friends. Drink and drive.
No.
You know.
You want to sit there all night and
Yeah,
call the cab?
fall asleep.
Call the cab. You know, these guys that came to my dad's place, most of them walked.
Smart.
Okay.
Smart.
You know, they have what they call neighborhood bars
Smart.
back in the day. Yeah. Let's talk about Urban Meyer.
Well, he's next on our list.
Man, I'll tell you. Now, when it comes to college coaching,
Oh,
just college,
at the top.
top of the top.
Yeah, he's at the top of the top. No question.
But there's an asterisk there.
He just could not control his ego. He could not. His player treatment is legendary disgusting, and it hit home at Ohio State and at Jacksonville. He does not know how to handle people.
Let's take it back. There was a legend. Well, you know, in Florida there was just a myriad
Runaway
of
freight train.
incidents.
Oh, no, runaway
and
freight
we
train.
leave it with Hernandez, who ended up going to the Patriots, ended up killing somebody. But let's talk more about Ohio State because it's our
Yes.
fan base here. He had an assistant whose wife was best friends with his wife that got knocked around, but he didn't know it. And you
Yes.
know what I call BS right there.
Yes, you have to call it out.
How long you been married?
Yeah, he would know. He would
She
know.
tell you everything.
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 Everything, and he knew. I know he knew. I circle him in that he fits the ego winning of all the ones I'm going to mention. When you win, like he does, and he won gigantic in college,
Yeah.
they'll overlook
Anything.
that's it. That's the word.
It's sad.
Anything.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody will say, "Hey, did you hear about Urban?" Don't bring that up.
He's
Well,
12 and 0.
he plays Georgia this week.
12 and
Don't bring him
No,
up.
Joe Paterno the same way.
Yeah.
You literally, your ego swallows you, and your ego's
Gets in
bigger.
the way.
And then you look and you think, you know what? Basically, and we had a friend locally, and you can basically do whatever you want because no one checks you.
They don't want to check.
No.
That's
'Cause
why.
it's like Nick Saban at Alabama. What's that saying? If you come for the king, you better not miss.
Right.
If you catch him in something,
Oh,
you better get him the first time.
You have to.
Because guess what?
Yeah.
You're out.
yeah. If a professor came and said,
Kid's flunking he
Urban-
doesn't show
yeah,
up.
Saban or Urban Meyer, they're the same guy.
They're the same guy.
If Urban Meyer, they said, "Hey, Urban, I'm going to go to the president and say, 6 of your kids in my class, I'm making eligible this week when you play Florida State.
It'll be your last day.
That professor would be fired. Well, no, he'd be gone so fast.
First of all, if they put your email out there, you'd have to move. Because they'd be dumping garbage in your yard and throwing, Molotov cocktails through you. I'm not kidding either.
We're not kidding either. Then he goes to Jacksonville.
Let's talk about that part of it, because he had a generational quarterback.
Yes, he did.
And it's proven
year later, yes.
Because he leaves and all of a sudden the kid's in the top 10. He failed them all. And this idea where you're calling out your assistants, what did you ever win? What did you do? What are you doing?
Yeah, he did everything he could to sabotage his life. And then he goes to a bar, talks about, okay, here's why I'm going to get out.
I have to get out of here on a third. He
family.
said, I got to meet my grandkids.
I got a family. And he's in the bar with this blonde girl. I have no idea what he meant. I wasn't there that night. But with those phones, Joe.
It's not a good look.
With those phones.
No, it's not a good look.
They show everything. He skips a team flight, doesn't even want to ride home with the team.
And listen, after you get beat, it's important that you're together.
Everything. It's everything.
It means a lot. Now, you want to get home the next morning and charter a plane to Columbus? Charter one.
Right.
You make, what was he making at Ohio State? 7, 8, 9 million? 9, 10 million with the Jags?
Yes.
And
he gets there, and remember, these are pros.
Yeah,
and he's kicking them he's kicking the kicker,
telling
him he stinks, telling him because of ego. And I circle this, George. I circle it in my mind.
Do it again.
They all have to do.
Say it again.
Ego. They all think they're above and beyond anybody getting them. They all think that what? Hey, I'm going to win games, and they're not going to say a word.
And unfortunately, most times that's
does
the
happen.
case.
Yes.
No, but another thing about him. They're calling it the worst tenure in NFL history. It's right there if it's not.
Oh, I think so, too.
And then this other thing, the first time in Florida, I want to spend more time. He takes a job with Fox instantly. Right here, right back. So he's going every weekend anyway. So on top.
I think he believes his lies. You know those people that do that?
No, we have friends.
We have friends that do that. That lie so much.
We have a couple friends that lie so much they believe it.
Yes. That he just automatically, something comes out of his mouth, and when he says it, it sounds like
he believes it.
Yes.
Albert, you have a couple of our buddies. When I say, "Hey, Al," he look at me, go,
George, it's not the truth.
It's not the truth.
I know what's coming out. It's going to say it. So
it's going to sound good.
Yeah, it is, and that's what. You couldn't say any better. Urban Meyer makes everything.
Oh yeah.
Sound good.
Yeah,
he does. He makes everything sound good.
The great story on him was back in the day when he was a young hustling coach. He wanted to have lunch with Lou Holtz. And he was a friend of Skip's, and Lou didn't want bothered. And finally, Skip makes Lou. He gets together, and Urban says something about Bowling Green not being a very good job. Lou goes, "Hey, Urban," he said, "if it was a good job, why would they want you?" That was a famous line.
That should have been the part right there that he remembered his whole lifetime. Listen, I started out this way, but see, he got so big timer that out of his mind.
Too big. These guys at these colleges, they are literally bigger than the governor. They make 20 times the governor's salary. That's the other thing.
Well, Huggins in West Virginia was bigger than the governor.
Oh yeah.
Urban Meyer in Ohio, when he was at Ohio State, was the king of all kings.
And so was Tressel bigger than Gordon G.
And Ohio State.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
yes.
Like I remember when that first thing started, when those idiots were selling their tattoos.
That didn't make my list because I didn't think that was.
He kind of got caught in the net.
That was near as big as he's ever.
It was like Tate's Luck. He got caught in the net there. And once he said they didn't do it, he was done.
He was done then.
Yeah, but the truth is, with these guys, nobody challenges them or checks them because, as I say, if you come and miss.
Right.
Let's talk Dave Bliss. The thing that bothered me more about Dave Bliss, plenty. First of all, one of the players murdered another one. No, I didn't say took his parking space. And then he wanted them to lie and say it was a drug deal going bad.
He just told them a lie.
And he was paying players everything. But the thing that mostly bothered me, Southern Methodist.
Yeah, that's my religion.
Baylor.
That is my church.
Baylor. What are we doing here? These are religious schools, supposedly.
Yes. He just went out of his mind. That's all I can say. His exploits at Baylor are legendary, under the scenes, behind the scenes. trying so hard to get players, trying so hard to change drug tests, but the ultimate was when there was a murder,
Yeah.
and he tried to cover it
You
up.
can maybe get another drug test. You cannot cover up a murder. And the bottom line is, one of those schools down in Texas hired him. No, he never.
Oh yeah, no, he got rehired. That's what I'm saying. It's like that's how bad it is. After this, he got back to coaching again.
And the other guy, you know, they talk about all these guys doing it, and the bottom line is, you can't allow, if you're the president of that school, there has to be somebody keeping this guy in check. It's certainly not the AD.
No, keeping them in check, though, on a 24-hour basis. George and I were coaches, and they'd say, you know, can you believe one of your players did that? And I'd say to them, listen, I admit, I didn't know.
Once.
It happened on a Saturday night.
Once.
I was out at a wedding with my wife.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's not a guarantee,
No.
but it happens once. After that,
I can guarantee you it won't happen the second time. 'Cause that's
Exactly.
on me.
yes, you call the kid in and said, listen, you're done. I'm sorry, you're done. You ruined everything we tried to build here.
My father was big on your name. Once you lose your name.
And all these names, I've lost their name, by the way. No.
No, when
the Huggins name will never.
Yeah, the first
be the
thing
same.
people
Urban Meyer's
think
name
of,
never the same.
the first thing Urban Meyer, they don't think of beating Michigan.
No.
They think of cheating
how he
and
handled
how
things.
he handled the Jaguars.
Yes.
Being in that bar on a night of a game after, when his team was on the way home with
That's what you
another
think.
loss. Now, Hinch was the guy, they were cheating in there.
Yeah, this was a difference. This is overlooking things. Hey, listen, as a
Now,
coach,
and do we know if it was intense? That's what we don't know.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But all I know is
Yep,
that the proof came out in the pudding.
Right.
That they were cheating.
Yep.
And if my player changes at the foul line, whispers to his teammate, listen, I'm going to shoot the free throw for you.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I have not got across to them. It's been my fault that, listen, we're not going to win that way.
No. We want to win.
Yeah, we're going to win it. Well, no, we're going to win. We'll play harder.
Yeah.
We're going to do everything the right way.
We're not
but
gonna
we're not
cheat.
going to cheat.
No.
And there is not a chance in my memory, allegedly again, that he could not.
He knew nothing.
Yeah,
Right?
he could be in that
Like
dugout.
Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing.
He could be in that dugout and say,
Nope.
"I don't think they're doing anything wrong." I think
Yeah.
when the thing's being hit, I look over and say, "What are they pounding at?"
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you garbage can. You'd figure it out.
Yeah.
John Gruden the same. The language, and now I have a feeling there's more coming there. I don't think he's the only guy in the NFL
oh, I know he's not.
office that uses it.
But that doesn't
make
get him.
his okay.
Yeah, that's
No,
it.
that-
Thank you for letting me in, George.
Yeah.
He can't get that through his head. Instead of him fessing up and saying, listen, I'm just a pathetic guy. I should have never done this. Well, how about the other guys that are doing it? That's what he's saying. That makes him look worse in my eyes. Just step up and know
Man,
you
I
screwed
I
up.
screwed up.
And he fit the bill we talked about earlier. This wasn't the first email he sent out.
No.
This wasn't the first one
No.
that he was
No.
detailing stuff about other athletes and making fun of them and saying words
DeMaurice Smith.
and topless pictures of cheerleaders. I mean,
Yeah,
this wasn't the first time.
Well, this Washington,
old John.
This is Bruce Allen in Washington. The culture in Washington was so toxic. He sold it to you.
Yes.
Now that tells you no one wants to sell.
I like that word toxic. That's
You know what it is? It's an ATM. Next year in 2025, every NFL team will make $1 billion.
how much?
A billion B.
Not a man.
Not
a man.
ba, 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 ba.
Billion.
1,000 millions for you. Math challenge.
George's on a roll today on the show because remember we don't talk ahead of time. The bottom line to all these coaches, once again, it comes back to cash. You understand?
Yeah. Money talks.
Huggins, Meyer, Bliss, Hinch, and Gruden.
7 figures.
George, is anybody on your block, as you like to say, anybody on your block?
No, I was like, there was a kid from Altoona that I'm from, and he plays for the 49ers. The guy said to me, he says, he doesn't make that much. He only makes the minimum. I said, it's $1 million. How many guys in your block? Me on my block, I'm the only one.
That's what
And I know I don't make $1 million.
now you multiply that by 4 or 5 with these guys.
Oh,
you understand?
No.
They're millions.
You know what killed? You know what ended up messing up the Denver Broncos?
Money.
No, the owner's wife, the Bowen, resented the fact that Shanatan lived on their block. That's what I got rid of.
Think about the ego there, Bob.
Oh,
Ego and money. We're talking about ego and money.
No, we got about 4.5, 5
Let's go to
minutes.
Bobby Petrino.
Let's get Bella Crowley first.
you wanna
'cause
get
I
Bella?
used to watch him carrying those little girls.
You thought
and
Buddy was
thought,
great, huh?
Pervert. No, I didn't have any proof, but my mind flipped to something wrong with this guy. He likes being around these little kids too much. I was not comfortable, but his starving these 13 and 12-year-old
His
girls.
did not come out that way, though. I'll say that. His came out what he
treated
did
them. Yeah, exactly.
to these little girls in gymnastics.
Yeah.
To make them the best member. You got to be light in gymnastics. You have to. He could say you're too heavy. And so what's that mean, coach?
Yeah,
that means I'm not giving you a food for
hey,
3
wait a minute.
I'm not giving you a food for 3 weeks.
But don't give it. They'd eat toothpaste before bed because they
what
were
I
hungry.
know.
One more item, and we'll move
toothpaste.
on. He was best friends of this Larry Nasser
jeez.
that assaulted over I think it was over 300
So that
women.
goes hand in hand a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah. There was more there. You know, and to this day, I'll never understand how somebody's foot hurts and this guy's sexually assaulting you, and you're not thinking that's normal treatment.
You don't know Bella, by the way. If you don't know Bella,
Yeah.
look. Remember, he's way back in 1976.
Yeah.
Look him up. He was on covers of magazines.
Oh, no.
You know.
Because of Mary Lou
Retton, yes.
And that Nadia Comaneci. Gymnastics
Yes.
were huge back. Hey, Bobby Petrino, go ahead. When he had that thing on his neck in the motorcycle, that, I have to admit, I got a chuckle.
Yeah, Bobby Petrino, by the way, he's in A&M right now.
He's calling a play. Hey, listen.
Now think it, he's
What's
in A&M.
70 million get you? You're not allowed to
He's
call
on a
the play.
motorcycle. He's on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
in Arkansas.
absolutely. Yeah.
And they get a call that there's this motorcycle
absolutely.
wrecks. And there's a statement that says, hey, it's
one vehicle accident.
no individual besides Bobby.
Nobody hurt. Just Bobby.
He admitted he wasn't wearing a helmet.
He shows up to the thing with one of those neck braces on, like they wear in the fraud movies when they're trying to get a payment.
On Law and Order.
Law and Order. So they said, and somebody driving by said, you know, there was a girl on the back of that motorcycle. Oh, wait a minute now. See,
We forgot about Jessica.
To quote Gottlieb, there are no secrets, just untold stories, and he got caught.
All of a sudden, they said, oh, yeah, that's right.
By the way, YSU was coaching against them up till last year.
Southwest Missouri,
So
yeah.
don't think this guy. We're not. And I'll tell you what, the coach is in so much trouble at A&M. They made him get him to call the plays, and those egos are going to clash.
How about the coaches we've named here? They're all outstanding coaches.
Absolutely.
You understand? That's the best stands out. But
Absolutely.
he finally said, I did choose an improper relationship.
Yeah.
I have made some poor decisions along the way. There's no better way to lead in to all these coaches.
Yeah.
That decisions have to be made. There are consequences.
Yeah.
On everything.
Yeah, and then the last one.
Well, I want to say something.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote to me, Bob Hung said, at what expense? That he never thought about that. Those 3 words make sense to me.
No, they don't.
At what expense? And that leads us to Bobby Knight. At what expense did he go to win games?
Nothing.
Has there ever been a bully like him?
Never.
Do as I
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
He's choking that guy, and they have film of him choking this kid, Neil Reed, and he is saying no, he was just moving him around or something.
So he did that. He lost that. The one that stands out to me is how his ego was so far out of control. When a student walked by him, and remember, these kids don't know. They don't care about basketball. He said, hey, Knight, what's up?
Knight?
He thought like the guy had just shot him.
Yeah.
He went after him like he was a
Yeah.
little punk, little kid. See, his bullying technique is so, and he had so many nice qualities that you read about him, you know?
And he wasn't a cheater.
No, but bullying to the nth degree.
Yeah.
I remember I used to idolize him when I was little, and now I wouldn't walk into the kitchen if he was there.
No, I know the
Because
same way.
he's just a bully deluxe who tried to pound his way.
Yeah. Well, he got remember down in Puerto Rico in the Olympics, he embarrassed the country too.
Yes, he did do that,
this
too.
thing. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks again for watching Bottom Line Sports Talk. See you next week.